Young ladies and gentlemen, good day to all of you. Once again, you are welcome here on the tribune of Awakening Consciousness. So, that makes the front page of international news, particularly the front page of African news. This announced candidacy of the Gabonese transitional president, Brice Clotaire Oligui NGuema. This candidacy of Brice Clotaire Oligui NGuema, which is causing quite a stir, while Brice Clotaire had been very clear in the transition charter, he had been very clear in his statement that he would not be a candidate in the presidential elections, obviously, on April 12, 2025, in Gabon. What is at the root of this change? What is hidden behind this change? What motivates this change? In the context of this video conference, that is what we are going to talk about. What is hidden behind it? That is why I ask you to please follow the video conference until the end. Thank you for watching and share it as much as possible in all possible groups. Engage a lot. Leave your various opinions in the comments. First, what needs to be said is that on the side of Gabon, Brice Clotaire Oligui NGuema, to achieve his objectives, started by modifying the texts. Subtly, already, what needs to be said, even before. Returning to the modification of the texts, people circulated rumors that Brice Clotaire Oligui NGuema had resigned from the army. That was between February 27 and 28, 2025. They circulated this rumor because people had learned that he would be a candidate in the presidential elections on April 12, 2025. But, to their great surprise, and to the general surprise, Brice Clotaire Oligui NGuema never resigned from the army. He even issued a denial that was broadcast by the spokesperson of the Gabonese presidency. He did not resign, so he did not resign from the army, and he is officially a candidate in the elections. So why is that? Some will say no, etc. It's not possible. Everything was planned. The Gabonese law allows him to do so at the time we are speaking. We will come back to this. Brice Clotaire Oligui NGuema made the grand announcement of his candidacy yesterday, March 3rd, 2025. I believe it was at the Friendship Stadium, if I'm not mistaken about the name of the stadium. He descended by parachute. He made a jump. As a parachutist, there you go. And then, I believe it was the same day. In any case, we saw the images, and afterwards, he made his statement. We will return to some elements of his statement, yes, because he says that the Holy Spirit spoke to him, because. But the hidden truth, deep down, we will get to it. So, what's happening? Firstly, there is the Transition Charter. In its article, the Gabonese Transition Charter in its article 44, which prohibits members of the government, from Brice Clotaire to Oligui NGuema, from supporting candidates in the upcoming elections, presidential elections, and all other elections. Article 44, its last paragraph is so clear. So, to remove the restriction of this article that he had established to gain the trust of the people, because he needed to say what the people wanted to hear, he will not be a candidate. That's why, at the time, he introduced, after the coup d'etat, I believe it was on August 30th, 2023, he introduced this part into the Transition Charter. People applauded. At the time, we denounced it here. We said it would not be respected. People said, no, you are jealous of Gabon. We moved on. After 2024, Gabon adopted its constitution. People applauded. Here is Gabon now with its new constitution. Yes, Brice Clotaire Oligui NGuema, he is an example. Yes. So, people said, here is Brice Clotaire, who has endowed Gabon with a new constitution. So very soon, Gabon will go to elections. In the meantime, he has set the date for the elections. They say, no, that's good, that's okay. He is a man of his word. So, what people have forgotten The Gabonese Constitution of 2024 has come to remove the barrier of Article 44 of the Charter of Transitions. That's set aside. And the Constitution, which is the superior norm, the Gabonese Constitution, which is the superior norm by essence and by excellence, within the Gabonese territory, which is above all laws, has provided for a new electoral code. However, there was an old law that governed civil servants, the 2005 law in Gabon, which prohibited civil servants, notably magistrates, in any case, public agents, magistrates, military personnel, from expressing their political opinion, from expressing their philosophical opinion. They should maintain a duty of discretion regarding political matters. So, in the name of this law, they should not be interested. Smart. Brice Clotaire Oligui NGuema introduced into the new electoral code something that removes this restriction. In the new Gabonese electoral code, it was specified that magistrates and military personnel can be placed on leave while retaining their status as magistrates or military personnel to run for an elective position in any election. So this is a leave of absence. So clever. He doesn't want to lose his military status, nor does he want to lose power. This is a leave of absence. He is a candidate. During his term, he serves as president. After the term, regardless of the circumstances, he returns to the army. He is still a military officer. This is a major advancement in strategy. Transitional regimes, transitional leaders in Africa who seek to retain power. This is one of the rare times indeed. This is African intelligence. You have many leaders, excuse my expression, military leaders, when they come to run as candidates, they resign from the army. And when you resign from the army, you no longer have power over the army. And then they resign from the army, they become presidents. Now this time the situation has changed. I remain a military officer and become president. This should be noted. It's a major change. So here he is a candidate in the elections. So what is actually happening? What is really behind all this? You see, dear ladies and gentlemen, we can talk about it. People, everyone will give their comment. You see many people who are opposed to this. Many people who also agree. But look very closely around us in Africa. We are in a great transformation that many cannot understand. Africa is changing at a pace that people are not understanding. I ask you to share this video conference as much as possible. Yes, we are witnessing serious transformations that are underway and involve questioning the overall governance system in Africa. There is a questioning of the overall governance system. This issue of political regime, which we call democracy, rule of law, and everything that follows. People are outright questioning whether it be those in power or whether it be the people themselves, each contributing to erasing this type of regime that the Westerners imposed on us. Do we need to remind that democracy was imposed on us around the years 89 to 90? We need to remind that it was in 1989 at the Ball Conference that the French President Mitterrand asked whether democracy should be Africanized or Africa should be democratized. They chose to democratize Africa, thus imposing democracy on Africa. Look around you today. In Chad, there is a military leader who took power, who also struggled to maintain power through elections. The same thing is happening in Burkina. In Mali, we appreciate what is happening in Mali. We appreciate what is happening in Burkina. And we appreciate less what is happening in Chad. But Kamif, the Chadian regime, had not initially been too favorable to France, we wouldn't have said anything. we would have applauded. Today, the Chadian regime has started to distance itself from France, to align itself with the Pan-Africanists. We started applauding the Chadian regime. The gentleman from Gabon, because it is said that he is France's favorite child. As soon as he starts taking actions against France, we will applaud him immediately. It's instantaneous. The moment he aligns with the Pan-Africanist mindset, we will applaud him. Today, Pan-Africanists, Africans don't care about the democratic regime. Africans don't care about the regime, which is called the rule of law, or all of that. They want patriotic Africans who are in power and who work according to what they want. Look, the same thing is being prepared in Guinea-Bissau. This gentleman in Guinea-Bissau has understood that he needs to cling to power. But he refuses to organize elections. The most important thing for him is to align with the people's logic, embrace Pan-Africanism, collaborate with Russia, and then establish a military regime outright. A military regime based on force, but one that does what the people want. Here is this new regime that is emerging within African states. It is a new type of political regime emerging within African states without many realizing it. And the situation is favorable to France's favorites, but they are forced to change afterward. Imagine, we applaud the AES states. The same wind of happiness that strikes. The military leaders who govern the AES states, it's the same wind that is spreading to Gabon, which has spread to Chad, and is now eyeing the Republic of Guinea. What can we say? We are in a change, in a substantial modification of the rules of accession and retention of power, which is based on the very aspirations of the people. It is the people themselves who want this. In the AS region, it is the people who have demanded it. The people have imposed their own, if we can say so, their own dictator. That is to say, the people tell him, I give you 5 years of transition, and then you can be a candidate. In the AS, this is what happened. There you have it. And the same thing is likely to happen elsewhere. And what is happening will have another favorable echo elsewhere. In other states, do not be surprised. Here is what is hidden. France certainly has a hidden hand behind what is happening in Gabon. But the Gabonese head of state is taking advantage of this overall movement to impose himself as well. Here is the truth. Maybe he didn't want to be a candidate, but when he looks around him, and if he has pressure from France, but he looks around him. All the other military leaders are holding on to power. What is he going to do? That's the problem. And we are in situations where even sometimes, when those in power do not want to, it is the people themselves who impose them. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, here is a part of what is hidden behind this candidacy. We will return to other elements in other video conferences. I simply ask you to subscribe if it's your first time coming across my video conference. Subscribe. Activate the notification bell and share this video conference as much as possible. I'll be back with you shortly. This was the voice of your one and only samurai.